Hey, health classes, Mr. Donahue. I'm stuck at home waiting on my son's COVID test. Just another way that makes things a little more difficult for us to get through everything. Today is 9/23. So what you're going to be doing today is finishing up the notes part. And at the end, I'm going to be going over a project that you can start as well. So this is the first part of the notes. You can listen to it with your headphones on and kind of complete the sheet as we're kind of going along here. So here's the first YouTube video.
Your ideas, plus our family,
We got
familia,
some great
famille,
commercials there. Here we go.
Hello, my name is Aurelia Torkington, and today I'm going to become one of the many, many people in your life to lecture you about social media. But what makes me qualified for that, you might ask? And honestly, well, not a whole lot. I mean, come on, I'm not your angry parent or an uneducated guidance counselor, and I'm most definitely not a middle-aged woman named Linda who tells you to step into nature instead of going on Facebook. I'm 17. I have about 30,000 Instagram followers, and I honestly just want to make social media a better place for everyone. Now, as we know, social media isn't always the nicest place. In a study by the iSafe Foundation, they found that over half of teenagers have been cyberbullied. Heavy social media use can make you 13 to 66% more depressed, and over 47% of teenagers say that they are addicted to their phones. But come on, you already know this. I already know this, and I hate that I have to say it to you again. I mean, we all have some experience with the dark side of the web. It's kind of hard to avoid when you're a kid thrown headfirst into a different dimension that has very few rules or limitations. For example, when I was in year 7 and 8, there was a really harmful culture at my school surrounding self-harm that was primarily promoted through social media. My Instagram was just following self-harm accounts and Thinspo and the cool popular girls at school, which, as you might imagine, was not great for my mental health. But on top of that, when I went to our school guidance counselor for help, he told me to spend less time on my phone, and he gave me a happy pebble, which I could channel my positive thoughts into. And when I felt down, I could rub it, and it would make me feel better. Needless to say, not very effective. So at the end of 2014, I went off the social media grid, and I started homeschooling. Now that was effective. I met my first girlfriend at a homeschooler's drama class, and she was someone quite involved with Instagram. She was really cool and aesthetic and everything I wanted to be, and she showed me a side of the internet that I had never seen before. I started sharing my art online and following other artists. I saw other cultures, and I learned about things that I never would have known otherwise. It was like a fresh start for me, and suddenly I didn't get mega depressed every time I looked at my phone. Now, I'm sorry, I don't know the science behind that, and I don't have the statistics. All I know is that is a feeling I want every one of you to experience. So the reason that I'm standing here in front of you today is because something has never sat right with me when we get taught about social media. In fact, it didn't click why until I was in a documentary about it, actually. These people, they interviewed me for 2 hours about my experiences online as a teenager. I told them about the good, and I told them about the bad. And honestly, most of it was me talking about how it helped me meet lifelong friends and get involved with social change and destigmatize my mental illness. And yet, when I watched the documentary a month later, there I was, on screen, talking only about how social media caused my depression, intercut with very graphic images of self-harm. Now, I never would have allowed this had I known about it beforehand, and not just because of the horrifically triggering images with no warning at all. Now, I was mad because these people obviously had a very set viewpoint on social media. They didn't like it, and they wanted to make a documentary telling people about how awful it is. But that's not what I believe. I made my views on positive social media use abundantly clear, but they chopped my words to fit their message and didn't think to tell me at any point during this whole process. I felt really violated, and I cried a lot. But after a little while, I was just angry and more motivated than ever. It had finally clicked why I was always so uneasy every time someone warned me about the dangers inside my phone. It's always older people or young entrepreneurs pandering to an older audience, and they never actually offer up a solution. It's like they give us the statistics, they tell us our phones are ruining us, and then period. But sometimes, if we're lucky, the older people might say that we should turn our phones off and go outside. And the young people might say that we should use social media solely to network for future job opportunities. But come on, that is rubbish. The relationships and interactions that happen online between teenagers have become quintessential to our social upbringing. And by that, I mean that abandoning social media entirely is somewhat impossible, just given how it shapes society today. I don't believe there is any way we can get rid of social media now. Not that we would want to. You know, the platforms might change, the culture might evolve, but as a whole, this feels kind of permanent. So we should be less focused on picketing the witch and more focused on making sure this cool new technology is being used safely. And these solutions should cater to everyone. I'm talking about the overambitious business people, but I'm also talking about the makeup artists and the regular artists and the cheerleaders and the horse girls and the sneakerheads and everyone else, not just one category. I remember when people would come in from outside of school with these 3-day program things about, let's say, street safety. And they would teach us stuff like, don't get in strange vans, don't walk alone at night, and don't give out your home address. You know, we did ones on bullying too. Don't bully people. If someone bullies you, do this. If you see bullying happening, say something. I feel like we need something like that, but for social media. Something that is developed by a mix of young people and expert professionals. Something that's taught in stages, beginning in primary school and continuing all throughout high school. Something that's taught to parents as well. And most importantly, something that is taught by young people in an interactive and engaging way that isn't just, hey kids, grumpy cat meme ruffle lol, am I right? So what I have done is I have asked a lot of people on Instagram and a bunch of adults in real life about what they feel to be the most important issues with social media. And I've narrowed it down to these 3 umbrella terms. Firstly, cyber safety. Now, this doesn't mean not downloading viruses and having a password longer than 6 characters anymore. Now, this encompasses meeting friends online who won't kidnap you, taking and sending nudes, and having an online presence that won't get you expelled from Harvard. Almost all of the friends I have, I met online. You know, I'm open to meeting and befriending these cool people from the internet, but I'm really cautious about who I trust and the way in which I go about it. We should be teaching people the signs to look for to spot a catfish. How much information you can share with people you haven't met, both on public accounts and in private, and the precautions you need to take before you meet up with someone you met online. Also, adults hate to hear it, but nudes are a thing that happen. Pretty much everyone does it. So either we can leave teenagers to send them unsafely into whomever they choose, ultimately leading to revenge porn, or we could just teach them how to do it as safely as possible. You know, using a media like Snapchat that'll erase the image, vetting your partners so you know they won't spread your stuff around the school, not sending nudes to strangers, and most importantly, not sending unsolicited nudes to people who haven't directly expressed consent. But finally, it's really nice that you can have fun online in a way that won't hinder your future job opportunities. But don't worry, this doesn't mean you have to use LinkedIn, I promise. It just means that if you have a public account or your coworkers or your friends, maybe don't post videos of the party you called in sick to attend. Oops. And watch your vocabulary on public photos and Facebook posts. So many people have told me to never post anything I wouldn't want my grandmother to see. But I've posted a lot of stuff I don't want my grandmother to see. I've just done it in places she doesn't have access to and been really cautious about the divide between my public and my private life. So now we are on to the second umbrella, which is mental health. Now, it is really hard to be on social media without feeling some myriad of negative emotions. And this can range from being cyberbullied and getting depressed, to following beautiful, rich, successful people and not feeling good enough, to following accounts like Thinspo that just make you feel worse than you already do, right down to being called slurs by kids on Xbox Live. But it's a bit much to ask to alter the accounts who create this content. So what we need to do is alter the way we view it. There's something that I learned after a very long and painful time on social media that entirely changed my experience with all of these things. After a whole 4 years of being online, I learned how to curate my space. Now, I used to follow over 1,000 people, and my timeline was chock-a-block full of stuff that either bored me to death or made me really depressed. So one day, I sat down and I scrolled through my feed and I looked at every post. If it didn't excite me, inspire me, or make me smile, I unfollowed the account. And then I went through my following list and I saw who I was following solely because I felt like I had to, and I got rid of them too. You are under no obligation to be following anybody. And if you are, use that mute feature liberally. Your social media should be a culmination of all the good things in the world. This personalized oasis where you go to be entertained and have a little laugh. And if it's not that, then something's wrong, because aside from ads, everything you see is up to you. So, unfriend all those annoying people on Facebook, and block politicians on Twitter, and unfollow that skinny girl on Instagram who makes you feel bad about yourself. This sounds like something that should just go unsaid, but I'm saying it anyway in case you're like me and you need to hear it. But on top of that, we should just be teaching people to consume media with a grain of salt. I like the phrase, you're comparing your raw footage to everyone else's highlight reel, because everyone posts the best parts of their lives, their best angles and the best lighting and the success stories that they want you to hear. You can't compare that tiny snapshot of their lives to the whole messy picture of yours. Also, I'm going to say this. You aren't going to listen. But stop using anonymous messaging sites. You're literally giving bullies a platform to harass you without consequence, so just don't. But our final umbrella is here, and it is addiction. Now, I feel like this one is a pretty valid concern to have. Kids will be on their phones instead of learning. We'll be using our phones while having conversations with people in real life. And yes, the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning and last thing I do at night is check my phone. Sue me. But this one's a little bit tricky because it's like telling you guys not to vape or eat sugar. Addiction comes with anything good, and all I can tell you is to have the willpower to regulate it. Download those dumb apps that stop you from opening Facebook and put your phone on Do Not Disturb while you're with your friends. I'm not going to stand here and lie to you and tell you that I have this magical solution that's 100% sure to work for everybody. But it's like how Juul was invented to help smokers stop smoking, but instead just created a nicotine addiction in a generation of people who probably wouldn't have started smoking in the first place. It's one of those situations where all I can say is take the regular precautions. Do a detox every once in a while and just make sure it's not hurting you too much. Also, for the love of God, stop vaping. Now, there are many many more problems than the ones that I've just listed, I know. And I'm sure I'll be hearing all about those very soon. But with every problem is a solution. And I'm confident that we can find a solution for this that caters to almost everybody. Like, technology is scary, and it's developing really rapidly. But unless global warming kills us all in the next 18 months, it's gonna become a pretty integral part of our lives. So we should learn to work with it, use it for good, and not be afraid of change, because it's the only way we can grow. This view that social media is rotting teenagers' brains and needs to be eradicated is a common one, but I want to challenge that. And I want to show you that with the right education, we can use this cool new thing in a cool new way without running from it screaming. So if you think you can be helpful, or you just have something you want to say, then get in touch with me. I'm Spider Eli on Instagram. And if not, just hang out, and you'll hopefully be seeing me at your school very, very soon. We are the future. Let's stop letting these oldies tell us what to do. Thank you.
So she just called me an oldie. More stuff going on with relationships on the internet. I meet a lot of new people on the internet. How can I use chat rooms and instant messaging safely? Again, chat rooms can be a great place to meet other people and talk about shared interests, but people are not always who they claim to be. I am a 42-year-old Caucasian male. Online, I can be a 55-year-old African-American woman, and there is no way you could actually tell one way or the other. So you have to take into account who you may or may not be talking to. Some safety tips: use gender-neutral names. Do not give out personal information such as name, phone number, address, or school that you attend. The reason why you wouldn't do those things is they know where to find you and they know when to find you. Never send a photo of yourself. Never get together with someone you meet on their internet. But if you happen to make that decision to have that happen, make sure there's other people with you. Make sure you're meeting in a safe place, not at your house or their house. Be suspicious of internet friends who try to turn you against your parents, teachers, or friends because they may have some type of hidden agenda to try to do other things to you. Okay, right here you'd be doing the Kahoot. You can kind of do that one on your own. And this is where we're ending up with today. You are going to be making a PSA. A PSA is a public service announcement. In your project, you can do it in any number of ways that you want. You can make a poster. You can make a video. You can make a video of a poster. Whatever you would like to do to try to have a PSA on any of the things that we've been covering for kids to actually be safer, whatever that happens to be, whether it's sexual assault or anything else that we've been going over. So the topic must be something we had just been covered. So have an idea of what you're going to do. So you're going to be working on that for the rest of the day today. And you'll also be working on that project for tomorrow during class. So again, if you need to take a video, you have opportunities to do that with your computer or with your phone, but choose which one you would like to do. If you're unsure of what you want to do and you need to send me an email of what you want your project to be, by all means do that as well. Hopefully you guys have a good day and figure out something good you want to do with your project.